Defranco Movie Club. It's me, Jenny, aka ClassyLibrarian, and this week's movie was Escape from LA, starring Kurt Russell. And this is definitely one of those films that it's best if you don't take seriously. You sit down with a group of friends and play a drinking game. It's not a film that's particularly aged well. If you look at the graphics, most YouTubers could probably do better, and it's one of those ones that just hasn't aged well, and I understand it had a low budget at the time. It's very hard to tell whether or not this film was intended to be as campy as it ended up being, or whether or not it was meant to be a sort of parody of the sci-fi genre, because it is so ridiculously cliched at points. You feel the way through the plot like you would feel through pretty much the basic sci-fi genre. You know who the hero is, you know who the villains are, you know where you're going, and there are one or two surprises thrown in, but for the most part you're like, oh, and this is happening next. It's not really a thinking movie. Of course, it does throw in some of the fears and feelings of the generation it was made in. So in the early 90s, obviously they were worried about the power of Hollywood and the power of plastic surgeons with that whole scene, and the fear of an electromagnetic pulse taking out all the electronics, and how the world would be like without that. So all of those fears of the time are kind of put in there, but to be honest, you can sit back and watch this movie just for the action and the silliness, like playing a basketball game in order to save your life, and you know, the way that it's directed, the way that it's acted is quite campy and quite silly and cheesy, and it's just a fun time. I mean, you know, expect it to be a slightly dated, slightly funny, campy action film, and don't expect anything more. I worked out my own drinking game during this film, which was every time they were walking into a obviously CGI backdrop, so where the characters are walking into what looks like a slightly cartoony world by today's modern standards. I shouldn't fault this film. You know, after watching the original Star Trek series, this film is miles ahead in terms of production, graphics, and all of the stuff in there, but it's definitely not hold up to modern standards. I'd love to see a 2013 film based 20 years in the future, to see where they think that's going. It's an interesting concept, it's campily done, and it's not particularly aged well, and that's about it really. Yeah, there's nothing more I can say about that. Enjoy having a drinking game if you are of legal drinking age, and relax through this film. You have to be in that mood in order to enjoy it, and that's about it really. I've just been on holiday. I'm sorry this video is up so late. I understand if I don't get featured because, you know, there's a cut-off point, but I just thought I'd throw it up there for fun anyway, and that's about it really. I will see you guys next week. Bye guys.